the PHNX Coyotes Podcast, brought to you by the one and only DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. Download today using code PHNX and place a $1 football bet and get $200 in free bets. It's just that easy. We're here. It's episode 5 of the PHNX Coyotes Podcast. I'm Leah Merrall here with Craig Morgan, and Steve Peters is back.
Back in studio. First time in Studio B.
Yeah, we're in Studio B.
You were a little worried about
I know.
you.
Yeah.
You know?
I get lost
The
sometimes.
people were
I
worried.
get lost. I'm here.
Almost put out
Everything's
a
fine.
silver alert on you.
That's nice.
That's hard.
Wow, the shots are fired early today. Oh, my goodness.
But it's good to be back. Good to be back in studio. Just had
Yeah.
some things I had to take care of.
All right. Well, I like
Good.
Studio B. I just don't love all the ASU stuff.
Do we have
as
the
a U of A
Sparky
grad.
hat superimposed over her head?
No.
No, not today.
Okay.
No, this is nice.
Make that
really.
happen.
It's kind of like being in the basement. This is where you should talk hockey, like in somebody's basement. This is hockey talk.
Yeah.
It's a room for hockey talk.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
And the chairs are comfy, too.
This is a better chair for me. Yeah. I'm not going to say why, but I think everybody can figure that out.
Oh, man. Well, we have a lot to talk about today because basically it's a whole new roster this year. And yesterday we talked about all the players who left the team. So now we're going to talk about everyone who's new to the team. And it's basically just half the team is new. So we got a lot to get through today. But starting off with some breaking news. The Coyotes announced that they signed John Ferguson to a multi-year contract to serve as the club's assistant GM, and he'll also serve as GM of the Tucson Roadrunners. Craig?
Yeah, it's good to have that in place for a couple of reasons. Look, Tucson operated a chunk of last season without a general manager, and I know with the taxi squad and everything was messed up with COVID anyway. But it's good to have someone overseeing that club because it's going to be clearly a really important part of their process going forward. There are going to be a lot of players coming through there, developing. A lot of their top prospects will come through there. Good to have someone in place. It's also good to have someone in place that Bill Armstrong can lean on. Just another experienced set of eyes and ears that he can rely on to bounce ideas off of and formulate a plan.
Yeah, we've talked about this before. Having the ability to bounce ideas off someone from the general manager's perspective. You want ideas, you want different ideas. You want to be able to say, hey, what do you think about this? And have some feedback. And Bill just hasn't had that.
Yeah.
So John Ferguson Jr. brings a lot of experience. I think he is going to be an asset in Tucson. And we talked about Tucson's management last year after Steve Sullivan left. It was a void. And the way the league operated last year in the American League, it was okay to have a void down there. Yeah. I think that, I hate to say it, but it was a forgotten year in the American League. You had the taxi squads who just kind of got lost. And this year, it's going to be vital that becomes a development league for this team. So I think to have the attention, to get someone making the day-to-day decisions down there is going to be really important. So I think it's a great addition. You talk about what he's done in the past and, his experience and so forth, if good or bad, but he's experienced. And just being around the NHL and familiar with how the NHL works is going to be extremely important for this group going forward. So I think it's a great hire.
Yeah, and you mentioned, for good or for bad, he was obviously the Toronto Maple Leafs GM for a while, and he's sort of a mixed bag there. But I think something that people always forget about a lot of people that work these jobs is you get better over time, right? You get experience, you learn from your mistakes. So it's not like you should judge someone on everything that happened earlier in their career. That they learn from it and they become better at their jobs.
Yeah, and I think that this is an opportunity with the Coyotes where they are willing to listen to other ideas, and it's a wide open playing field right now on what their future looks like here. So they're just looking for communication and ideas. So I think that experience is going to be vital in moving this whole thing down the field.
Well, it feels like every week there's a new face added to this organization
Really
for us to stay on top of. So that being said, why don't we dive into some of the new faces on this roster? What do you say?
You're breaking it down for us, right?
All right.
You're driving the bus.
So 2 categories. So first, we're going to do everyone who arrived via trade, which, as we know, was quite a few given all the trades that the Coyotes partook in this offseason. And we're going to start with a group. Let's start with a group of people who, this is a group that have something to prove. As you can see on the screen, we have Andrew Ladd, Louis Erickson, Anton Roussel, and Jay Beagle. So let's go through each of those one at a time. We'll start with Andrew Ladd, who was traded to the Coyotes for basically nothing, is the simple way of putting it. The Coyotes also received a 2021 second-round pick, a 2022 conditional second-round pick, and a 2023 conditional third-round pick from the New York Islanders. And Andrew Ladd and the Coyotes gave nothing in return.
This was purely a cap dump. That's exactly what this was for the Islanders, to free up some cap space to do something else. By the way, don't be surprised if the NHL tweaks the rules after this trade to say, hey, you got to give something back. I mean, if it's a bag of rocks or something, I don't know what the stipulation is going to be. But yeah, this was an unusual trade to see. But with Andrew Ladd, he's struggled for a few seasons here now. Hasn't played much meaningful hockey. I don't know how much he's going to play. Bill Armstrong told me that, he's going to fight for that extra spot on the roster right now, that extra forward spot, maybe in and out of the lineup. Maybe he won't even earn it. It's been a tough time, a tough go for him. This is a guy who was a high-end player for a while. I remember him when he was in Chicago, helped lead him to that first cup, and I hated to see him go as a fan at the time, but yeah, age has caught up with him. He's had a real struggle. Petey, I don't know what your thoughts are on him.
Well, it's an interesting thing. And the recurring theme you're going to hear today from these players coming in, good person, leader, does things the right way, prepares the right way, and that's Andrew Ladd. Won 2 cups in Chicago, was an integral part of what they were doing in Winnipeg years ago. Got to the island, injuries caught up with them, and he just hasn't played much hockey. It's going to be interesting to see how he falls into this roster. The Coyotes benefited from the trade on their draft picks, so it's a win. If he plays at all, it's a win. But having him around the locker room and what they're trying to do for the future, that's a win. Having Andrew Ladd there, he's won. He is a pro. And I've talked to people around the league, and some were surprised that he's not really playing, is he? He's just, the contract is just there. And my understanding is he has every intentions of attending camp, playing at camp, and making this hockey club and making a difference. So is he a guy that's going to turn the corner and have something to prove this year? He absolutely is. Can he contribute? Yet to be seen. But either way, this is a win for the Coyotes. This deal is a win. The draft picks and a good, solid citizen in the locker room that's one that you can help pull people along.
He's really motivated. We got him on a Zoom call after the trade, and he's obviously motivated. Now, motivation alone won't get you there. You have to have the skill level still. You have to have, your body has to be willing. And as you mentioned, he's had some injury issues, but he's definitely motivated to prolong his career. And you never know with the situation he's in, maybe if he shows some spark, maybe if he shows something, maybe they flip him to a team that needs a depth player and he gets another opportunity. We'll see how it plays out. I mean, you could probably say that for a lot of the guys that we're talking about here, but that's the situation he's in right now. He has to prove it at this point because I think it's fair to say most of the league has written him off at this point.
Right.
Yeah, and he's in the last 2 years of a 7-year, $38.5 million deal. That's a $5.5 million AAV. So quite a big contract there for someone.
And that's why the Islanders need to get rid of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it made sense, honestly, for everybody. The Islanders need to get rid of that money because they're looking to win now. The Coyotes can accept the money because they got the room and they need the draft picks. It's a win-win for everybody, and hopefully for Andrew Ladd, he does find a way to propel his career into the future. That would be great.
Yeah, it would be great. And also, given how many just empty contracts the Coyotes have, it would be nice to actually have one turn into someone who can produce or even just provide that locker room contribution, like you said. All right, well, going down that list, we have this. They were all part of the same trade. So Louis Erickson, Jay Beagle, and Antoine Roussel. They came alongside a 2021 first-round pick. That was the 9th pick in the draft this year, a 2022 second-round pick, and a 2023 7th-round pick. And, of course, they were traded for Oliver Ekman-Larsson and Connor Garland. But those three are also 3 guys looking to prove something. So we can start with whoever you want, Louis.
You know what? This is, again, similar to what we said about the Islanders, this is a win-win for the Coyotes. They got rid of a contract in Oliver Ekman-Larsson, high-dollar contract that they needed to move. That's a win. They bring back 3 players. Again, it's all NHL players. I talked to someone that knows these players well with former Canucks employee and said, great guys. To a man, they prepare the right way. They're good people, good citizens. And that's the recurring theme of the people that Bill Armstrong brought in. They're guys that the younger group can emulate to show here's how you do it the right way. Hockey-wise, they've all been very good players at one time or another in this league. Louis Erickson led the Dallas Stars in scoring 10 years ago. So he's an offensive threat when he's healthy and on the top of his game where is that game now? Well, he's still a smart player. Unbelievably smart, can kill penalties. I think you're going to see him, as long as he can play and be healthy and a part of the lineup, he's a guy that's going to kill penalties and he's going to eat some minutes because he still is an offensive threat and he's a smart player for 200 feet.
Yeah. Louis Erickson, again, another player like Ladd. He, maybe one notch above him in terms of potential to have an impact on this lineup. I wonder too about him, whether he's going to be a regular player. Those other two guys, I expect him to play. Roussel, I think, still has some game left, can bring an edge. The style of play that he brings, and Jay Beagle, another lead. He may have to play center given what they've got right now. But I've also heard selfishly that Jay Beagle is an incredible interview. So. He's already going to be a go-to guy for me in the locker room, and I haven't even talked to him yet. So.
Yeah, he's and he's another guy who won a cup with the Washington Capitals. Jay Beagle, when he did play center, he can be a leading faceoff guy. He's been top 10 in the league before. So I do believe he'll start in the middle of the ice. Again, I have no speculation. I've never talked to Bill or Andre Tourigny, but I do believe he's going to play center. He's a guy that you're going to have out in the last minute when you're up by a goal and you're protecting the lead in your own zone. Very smart defensively. I think he'll be another guy that you'll see jump over the boards to help the penalty kill. There's some good experienced players on the penalty kill. And when you talk PK, you do want some speed out there to be able to close those gaps quickly, but you need smart players. And I think the Coyotes, you look at Stepan and Richardson and guys that have been a little more cerebral and able to kill penalties, that's where Erickson and Beagle are going to fit in. I think there is going to be a role for those guys here, and I think they're going to play a lot of minutes. Roussel, again, you look at a guy who's got a little more grit, a little jam to his game. Fans are going to like him. He's got a personality, and he's going to play a lot of minutes too. Where does he fit in the lineup is to be determined yet. I think, you think of him that third-line grinder mentality, worker. I don't know. I don't know how this whole roster is going to fill out by October 14th, 15th. So we'll see where he fits in.
You mentioned we've talked a little bit about the big contracts that they've taken on, and clearly the Coyotes had the cap space. They weren't going to be a cap team anyway, so they could do that. They could use it as an asset to acquire the draft assets they wanted. But when you dive into a lot of these guys' contracts, I think it's also important to note that not all of them are making what their cap number says. Maybe there was a signing bonus that was paid out. Maybe the contract decreased over the life of it. So they're really not paying out a lot of cash either for these players, which was another thing that made them attractive to the Coyotes.
Yeah, and we go back to their personalities and what they bring from a leadership perspective. And we're not going to kid anybody that the roster the Coyotes have put together right now, it's a rebuild. We've said it over and over. They'll say it publicly. So if you're going to bring players in, bring these kind of guys in. Bring guys that have won, played at good, solid NHL franchises, prepare their right way, are physical. Physically fit and ready to play. I think having those kind of guys to follow in the locker room is so imperative for this young group if they want to pull them along. Let's get that guidance. And so I think I don't want to say overstate it. It's really important to have those kind of players to emulate because we've talked about the Edmonton Oilers before. We have all that young core of young talent, well drafted, but you didn't bring in that surrounding right fit of veteran personalities and people. And how do you learn to play in the NHL? How do you prepare on game day? Well, here's how you do it, kid. You do it this way.
And how do you learn to fight through losing, right? Because they're going to lose a lot. Yeah, absolutely. That's such a critical element that I don't think gets talked about enough. And it can go south in a hurry because a lot of these young players are going to experience a lot of losing. So how do you keep fighting through that? How do you, like you said, learn to be a pro and battle through all of that?
Yeah, I think they're going to be leaders. And I've heard about Louis Erickson's more of a quiet leader. He'll do it by doing things the right way. He's not a vocal guy. He's not going to be in your face. But I think there are enough voices in there of this veteran core that are going to be able to help. Hey, this isn't the way you do things. This is not how you prepare the night before a game. You do it this way. And I think that in the long run, those kind of personalities are going to help out.
Yeah, and all three of those players are going to be UFAs after this season. So, I mean, really, we're just getting a year out of them. And in return, the Coyotes got a lot of assets. So,
and they're going to do this show again next year.
Yeah, and they got to play for
contract. They got to play for have to do this edition of the show every year. Yeah. Literally.
They've got contracts to play for, so you expect something out of guys that have something to play for.
And as long as we're mentioning guys that belong in this discussion, we got to talk about Carter Hutton as well, right? Because here's a guy their goaltender who's struggled. Another guy that's probably been written off in the league, but as it stands right now, I don't know what moves they might make in waivers or elsewhere, but as it stands right now, he's their starting goaltender. That's a big load to throw on this guy.
Yeah, he had a tough year last year on a tough team. It was Buffalo last year, and he got 1 win, I think. Statistically, it's a tough year for him. And I know when he signed his contract, at that time, when he put his name on the piece of paper for the Arizona Coyotes, Darcy Kemp was still here. Darcy Kemp was a starting goalie, and he signed the contract thinking, I'm going to play 25, 30 games behind a guy that's pretty solid NHL number 1. And within a matter of weeks, you're the guy. I mean, it's a different mindset being a backup goalie in the National Hockey League versus being a starting goalie in the NHL. There's a lot to it, a lot of mental preparation. Of course, it's physical, and you need to be in good shape, and all of those things are true. But you really have to be mentally sharp and prepared, and I hope he's been able to make that adjustment. He's had enough time, so he can, by the time they hit the ice in training camp, he can start having that persona and that I'm number 1. I'm the number 1 guy. And again, barring waiver signings or a different move by Bill Armstrong, right now he's the guy. So he's going to have to get ready to carry the mail, and he's going to have to play a lot of hockey.
Yeah, and that was a 1-year, $750,000 signing from Carter Hutton. So he wasn't via trade; he was a signing. But yeah, so definitely has something to prove, like he said.
I'm messing up all your
that's
okay.
Flow here. It's
fine. It's totally fine. Well, yeah. So I guess we can move on to the next category, which will be these are players who actually have something. Not that the people we just talked about don't have something to contribute, but these are players who really have something to bring. And there they are on the screen. The first 3 arrived via trade. The last one was a signing. So we have Shane Gostisbehere, Connor Timmins, Anton Strahlmann, and Dimitri Jackson.
Yeah,
my pronunciations are just, I'm sorry in advance, everyone.
No, we can stop on the show. Anytime we do need a pronunciation, we always cue Craig.
Yeah, I literally just look at Craig, but he won't correct me. He just nods and...
Jaskin?
We need to bring Rudy Bravada in just to...
We'll just do him.
We just need his voiceover on all the pronunciations.
We'll just superimpose it as I say it, but then his voice comes over.
I've heard of both Jaskin and Yaskin. I don't know. You talk to the PR guys. Do you have a sense of what the correct Coyote pronunciation is going to be?
I'm going to ask him. That's who I like to ask. I like to ask the player, and then I'll report back to you.
Yeah.
Because there have been names where I thought I had it right from everybody else. Like, you remember Freddie Sjustrom?
Yes.
Well, he told me it was pronounced Hustrom. And I had never heard that from anybody. So I just asked him, I'm like, oh, okay. I can't say that. So
who changed
what should I call you?
Who changed it? Changed it? No, but there's been people that have changed it from 1 year to the next, too. Yeah. How they pronounce names.
That's true. Actually, I'm trying to remember who this...
Yeah, I don't remember what it was either.
Absolutely right.
Nashcash was one I still can't pronounce right.
Yeah.
Nekar. I can't pronounce his name. There's a lot. You've had some hard names.
Didn't Nicholas Grossman have 2 ends and then 1 end? Didn't he go back and forth there?
That was a spelling versus pronunciation.
Yeah, but switching sports, Amari Stoudemire for the Suns, he had that accent just kept moving. He kept changing the way it was. So
fun.
Keep up year to year here.
Yeah, that is.
Anyway, we're off topic.
That is a problem with hockey, though. There's some hard names.
Yeah.
Especially those Eastern European names and Russian names. The new defenseman, Provolnev. Provolnev. See? I can't get it.
Calling him Vladdy.
Provolnev.
I don't know if I can do that, but I'm calling him Vladdy.
Well, we can just make up nicknames for everyone. That could make our lives easier. Anyway.
So, Jaskin.
Getting back at... Well, we'll get to him. We'll get to him in a little bit. So we'll start...
Order.
Yes.
Let Leah do a read, okay?
Come on.
Sorry, Leah.
All right. Well, we'll stick with the people who arrived via trade. And Shane Gostisbehere was another one, kind of like Ladd, who kind of came over here for nothing. Gostisbehere, a 2022 second-round pick, a 2022 seventh-round pick, were traded by the Flyers to the Coyotes. And that was that.
I think he has something left still. Do you? I mean, this is a guy who could have something left in the tank. We saw him play at such a high level for a while with the Flyers, offensive defenseman who could really ignite the breakout. I don't know that he has that sort of explosiveness anymore. We'll see that, as he's a little ways out from the injury, if he can get back to that level. But I remember watching him at that time thinking, wow, this guy really brings something to a power play, to a breakout.
Yeah, I tell you what, when he first came on the scene, he's a slight, smaller defenseman, but boy, was he exciting offensively. the way he got the puck up the ice, the way he was in the offensive zone. Like he's a high-end talent from the back end. And then something changed. And I don't know if it was a confidence issue. I don't know if it was an ice time issue. I don't know if it was a locker room issue, but he just changed. And his ability to play changed. And their confidence in him changed. And his ice time changed. And all of those things culminated in, hey, we got to trade him. And this isn't the first time they've tried to trade Shane Gostisbehere. Like, they've been trying to move him for 2 years now. I think that's a win for the Coyotes. I think that's a good thing. He's a guy that they're going to put in. He's going to get power play time. Of course, you're going to look at Chychrun, who's going to drive the first power play. But
Right.
Gostisbehere is going to be there on the second unit. He's going to get a lot of ice time. He's going to get a lot of offensive starts. And I think their expectations of him is he's a guy that they're going to put out there when they need to create offense from the back end. They're going to trust him with the puck from behind the net, carrying it up the ice. He can make a first pass, but he can also skate. He does bring all of those elements you look for in an offensive defenseman. I think the new atmosphere will be beneficial to his career. I really think this is going to be a guy that Coyotes fans are going to look at and go, wow, like this kid can play. And I'm excited to watch him because I saw what he has done the last 2 years where his play started to tail off. Yeah. And I want to see if he can reach that mark. And he's young. He's still just a kid.
Yeah.
Like how old?
Yeah, and that's the thing. And he had talked about how the injuries impacted him. And you're just, sometimes you're just getting to the other side of those injuries. It takes a little while to work your way through, not only physically, but as you mentioned, mentally. That's sometimes the bigger challenge for players when you start trusting the body again to do what you know it could do in the past.
Yeah, and you're playing in a Philadelphia crowd, and their expectations are high, and they get on you. When they
Philadelphia fans are not easy on their players.
Right, yes. And you're not meeting the expectations that they have of you or they have set in their mind, they can be vicious. Yeah. It can be a hard place to play. Those same expectations won't be put on him here, only internally. Like, I anticipate he's got that drive, and we talked about proving yourself. I expect that kind of drive, but the fan base isn't going to be hard on him. The coaching staff is only going to demand his best. They're not going to be difficult on him. So I think it's going to be a place where he can feel safe, comfortable to rebuild and restart.
Literally safe from Philly fans. I think Sixers fans are the only fans of the four major sports where they actually haven't thrown something en masse on the playing surface. It was snowballs at Santa Claus. It was batteries for the Phillies. I'm trying to remember what the Flyers fans. I'm blanking on the most important one, but I think it's Sixers fans, the only ones that have not been caught on film.
I'm excited to watch him play. And really, I don't know, we're September 15th today. So, like, it's coming quick. Like, we're going to be watching preseason games before you know it. And I know players, I keep saying this. We'll spend more time talking about how coaches prepare their rosters for those preseason games because there is a method to the madness that we'll get into it as we go. A player like Gostisbehere, will he play in all of them? Very, very unlikely. Yeah. But so we might not see him the first game or two, but we are going to see plenty of him, and I'm excited to see what he can contribute.
Yeah, so he's 28.
28.
Yeah, and he's in the last 2 years of a 6-year, $27 million contract, which is a $4.5 million AAV.
Yeah, so he's still relatively young, and he has a lot left in the tank, and I think that he's going to be a guy that eats a lot of minutes. We're looking at the defensive core here, and there's some pretty good players on the back end of this Coyote team. If they can put it together, I think you're going to see some good offensive numbers from the defense again.
Yeah, well, we're not quite done with all the players who arrived via trade, but I do want to just mention that, something that could be appealing about playing here for a lot of these guys, besides just, the weather in Arizona is a lot nicer. The fans might treat you a little bit nicer, like we were just talking about, but sports betting is legal here in Arizona now.
Yay.
And Petey, you weren't on the show the last 2 days, but we did tease that there is a photo of you out there wearing a Viking helmet. So Craig and I are holding on to that one too.
Oh, I thought we were sharing it today. Okay.
Oh, we can share it today. I would love to.
I did. I will say this as we talk about the sports gaming. I am older than average amongst the crowd here at PHNX.
Silver, he did say he was going to put out a silver alert for you. So.
But I am learning. It's easy, and boy, does it get your attention on the game.
Yeah.
Like, like we were doing. We had the over.
The word
under.
Invested comes to mind.
Yeah, we had the KC. We had the over in the KC Cleveland Browns game because those two quarterbacks put up the highest numbers in the history of college football. So we said, well, let's see if they can do it again, and they did. it was really exciting, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. So I'm glad it's here.
Yeah, well, the Cardinals are playing the Vikings this weekend, so that's why
might be time to bust out that.
Yeah,
photo.
it might be time to bust out the photo, and
I've got others. Too.
I bring
the
up that
0-1 Vikings.
I bring up that game specifically because there's actually promotions on DraftKings this weekend. It's a no-brainer bet where literally if Minnesota or Arizona scores 1 point, either team scores
Seen the Vikings.
1 point. Well,
Somebody's got to score a point.
hey,
I
the
know.
Cardinals had a
The
great
Cardinals
opening.
are great. Yeah, this could be. Is it here? And again, forgive me for not knowing. Is it in Arizona?
I think so. Yeah.
Well,
Jacob, do we
I
know?
believe the game is home. Is it?
Do we know?
The Vikings
Vikings
Cardinals
Cardinals
game's at home, isn't it? Yeah.
all right.
See, I should know that. I apologize to
Yeah, 'cause
everybody
Well,
on the Cardinals.
they opened
beat
on the
that'll
road,
beat
so.
me up.
Yeah,
Johnny's
so-
gonna be all over me.
All new DraftKings customers who sign up now, you can double your money if either of those teams score 1 point. And the
Point.
Cardinals will.
Yes.
I can say
Yeah,
that with
and
confidence.
even the Vikings, and we won't get into the football chat, but the Vikings had a good week. They got beaten overtime late. Joe Burrow was unbelievable.
Better week than the Bears.
Yeah, well,
This is. Thank you for that.
Hey,
we needed that qualifier, right?
we went to overtime.
At least the
though.
Bears were playing the Rams on the road. By the way, the entire division is 0-1.
Yeah, let's-
Okay, so
Oh my
So
gosh.
let's wait for the Bears Vikings match. So 0-4 for the NFC Central, right?
Yeah.
Enough
Well,
said. We'll talk more about that on Friday. We'll have the bet of the
Oh,
week.
yeah.
Maybe we'll make that the bet of the week.
yeah, we can think ahead to that one. But I mean, this one is a
The
no-brainer.
no-brainer bets I like.
Yeah, I love those because
Still learning.
I'm still learning too. And the DraftKings promotion where if you use the promo code PHNX and you receive $200 in free bets when you
Yeah.
place a $1 bet on any NFL game, I have all these free bets that like I'm learning how to bet using my free bets, which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know they all like mine expire tomorrow at least, but yeah,
be a busy
it's
night for you.
been a really good way to
Okay.
learn how to use everything without the stress of losing my own money because it's the money that DraftKings gave me. So make sure you download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the promo code PHNX. Like I said, $200 in free bets, that no-brainer bet. If either Arizona or Minnesota scores 1 point during the game, you can double your money. I mean, it's amazing. So be sure to sign up. Promo code PHNX, 21 and over, Arizona only. Gambling problem, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. New customers only for free bet promotion. Minimum $5 deposit and $1 wager required. Eligibility restrictions apply. Maximum $50 wager for no-brainer offer. Not true. I put 50 down. I made 100 last week on that same no-brainer bet. One per customer. See DraftKings.com/sportbook for details. So, I mean, really,
Can't forget.
really can't go
Right after
wrong
the show.
there. And I also don't want to forget to talk about GoPHNX.com. The paywall is up, so Craig's stories are behind there.
Yeah, let's talk more about Craig's stories. That's what we need.
wow. Okay,
Wow.
I don't even know what to do with
I
this.
wrote that.
PD's content is not behind the paywall.
Oh, that's true.
So-
Get all my stuff for free.
You're
You just have a take about the Vikings.
Oh, what did I say?
Awful. It just,
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh,
No, I'm teasing
Lord.
Craig. I'm teasing. It is great content. I read your stories before I come in here so I know what the heck is going on. It's a true story.
Who are you?
I really do.
I
Wow,
met
you
I-
prepare?
That is honestly, well, that's all I do to prepare. I figure that's all we're going to talk about anyway, is what Craig wrote. So I might as well read the article. Once I do that, prep is done.
You know, yeah. So the paywall's up. I've notified a lot of my former subscribers from another site that we've got a deal available. So check it out. Seriously, go to PHNX. Go PHNX. Sorry,
Yeah.
keep forgetting that. There are a lot of different membership options for you there. But as I've said to everyone, and this is not hyperbole. The reason I came on board here is I can do everything that I did previously, but we can do so much more like this show. You're just going to get so much more coverage of the Coyotes, really like this team has never been covered before.
Yeah, definitely.
Agreed, Craig. And I'll joking aside, those articles, you do have the inside take here in Arizona on Coyote hockey. So Minions, I've given him his credit where credit is
That's
due.
what it's all about. He's worried about all of you.
Watch
By the way, I
true
haven't
story.
heard anything about what I'm wearing.
I
I mean,
was-
I wore
yeah.
like an electric
I
green
was
shirt
trying
today to draw
to-
attention. You're still ignoring me.
I don't know.
over
I thought it was your kids from
The-
Sesame Street. I don't know.
here. Come on.
I don't know.
I'll bet some of our viewers know what this shirt is. It's going to kill you. This is
don't-
Temperin Ilves.
Yeah,
So
I said
Tampere.
finish.
You
Which
should've worn
famous
that.
Coyote was from Tampere? Teppo Numminen.
Teppo.
Teppo Numminen.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Matthias Michelli.
Yeah, I was gonna say Matthias
sporting
Michelli.
this,
You
that's
should have
right.
worn.
See,
You
I
should
should've
have
known
worn that
from-
when we
you put
talked
the
about.
ads on it. I would have recognized. Cause I
Oh,
watched,
yes, that's right.
I watched a lot of his
All
games
the
last week.
patches.
Yeah, and the
Should've known.
Erie Otters
Erie
hat.
Otters, Dylan
Dylan
Strome.
Strome.
There we go.
Connor
Yeah, I saw
McDavid.
that. Like that one.
We'll see what else I
can
bust
read.
out. We've got a few more
Hats
options.
though, I didn't know hats. Like I'm still not there. I'm still gonna be a golf
Well,
shop.
I feel
I have
like
a
I need to
Roadrunners
wear
hat if
hats.
you want to
Like,
borrow it.
I know it's a relaxed atmosphere, but I'm still working. Like I'm
I
gonna
feel
put a
like I
golf
need
shirt
to
on.
wear hats all the time.
Maybe
now.
you should wear
after-
your.
after
Maybe
After
you
you
should
guys
wear
accuse me
the.
of wearing a wig.
You should wear the Vikings helmet on Friday for the
Ooh, we'll
DraftKings
see.
pick of the week on
Only
Friday.
when- yeah, we'll see. Maybe a late night post Coyote game. I'll pull
Hey,
up
will
that.
you, when we get our shirt, our PHNX shirt, will you wear that?
Yes.
Okay.
I've been waiting for that. Seriously, I am.
Yeah.
That's-
Do you wear
I'm
your
not-
Viking
And
hat?
No.
No.
Oh,
Okay.
Well,
But we are the plug. You're just waiting for the plugs to
disappointing.
settle in. Is that?
oh my God.
Oh no! Is that why the hats? I don't know. He's got
See,
hats.
here we go.
Back to
Here we
back
go.
hats. I don't know.
I'm thinking
Wow.
about getting like a scalp tattoo that looks like hair. So
Save your money.
Yeah.
I like it.
yeah,
Wow.
I think it sounds a little cheaper, doesn't it?
This has just gotten off.
Yeah,
the
we're off the rails. Like Jacob's
Yeah.
back there, like
Let's
what are we
wheel
talking
us back
about?
around.
Man.
Sorry.
Wheel
Yeah,
us back around.
This is why I'm saying
Oh
it's
my
good to have
God.
Leah here to drive the bus.
Jeez.
Otherwise, who knows where we'd end
Okay,
up.
back to
well, I mean, you can get that PHNX shirt free with when you sign up for a 1-year membership at
Mhm.
gophnx.com. The Coyote shirt's on there. It's awesome, but there's other great shirts too for all the other teams and just PHNX as well. So be sure to check that out. All right.
Jacob, are we still winning the T-shirt race? The hockey?
Oh, we're crushing the t-shirt
Seriously?
race.
Are we?
Let's
should put-
Domination.
We need
Yeah.
a leaderboard up in here.
we
just
do.
to
We
show
should
how-
we should get that for
I like
Friday's
it.
show.
I
All
like-
right. Well,
Okay, sorry.
let's reel it back in.
Okay.
Back to the trades. We're still
Sorry,
not.
everybody.
Yeah, sorry everyone. Well, we're actually still not done with players who arrived via trade. That's how many there were. Let's go with Connor Timmins next. We've talked about him before. He arrived alongside a 2022 first-round pick and a 2024 conditional third-round pick for Darcy Kemp. That was the big one. Another, not the big one. There were so many big ones, but that was another big one.
Yeah.
And he also just, once he got here, he signed with the Coyotes for 2 years, $1.7 million. That's an $850,000 AAV.
Big right-handed defenseman. I know that Colorado didn't want to give him up. That one stung. This trade, again, I've said this a bunch of times already, but I heard from so many people that the Coyotes weren't going to get a first-round pick for Darcy Kemper. They did. Bill Armstrong stuck to his guns on that one. Not only got that, he got a really good defensive prospect in Connor Timmins, a right-handed prospect, a big kid who they were really high on, and I think he was part of their future. Now, Colorado has a deep blue line, so more than most teams, they could probably afford to move on from a prospect like that. They've got other guys in the pipeline, some of whom we'll see, this weekend at the rookie faceoff. But to get a first-round pick and to get Connor Timmins, a guy who is probably going to be a part of your blue line for quite a while, that was a heck of a haul.
Yeah, and I think we talked about Darcy Kemper a year earlier. I think we were expecting he possibly could draw in a first-round pick. And then last season probably statistically wasn't what he was hoping for, and his stock dropped a little bit. He won the World Championships, which helped. But again, it's Bill Armstrong's patience, and he got the first-round pick that he wanted. It was amazing how all the cards fell to create
Philip
this
Grubauer
deal.
going to Seattle was a
If
big piece
not
there.
for that deal,
Yes.
Kemper's playing somewhere else, and I don't know if he's demanding a first. I don't know. But the patience paid off. You get the first. But Connor Timmins, I don't want to put too much pressure on the kid before he plays.
Yeah.
I know the expectations are high, and he's a strong, big right-hand defenseman that can skate. The ceiling is very high for him. But he needs to get a bigger sample set. He needs to play a little bit more, and that's one thing this franchise can allow him to do. He's going to play. He's going to play a lot of minutes.
Can you see him on a second pair with Gostisbehere?
I do.
Yeah.
I don't think you talk about the dream matchup with Chychrun. That's not going to happen. We'll talk more what we see there happening there. But I do see him as a two pair. And Gostisbehere, and we talked about he's 28, but he's still an experienced NHL defenseman.
Yeah.
That he's going to be able to carry the mail himself up and down the ice. Takes a little of the pressure and the offensive pressure and the puck handling pressure away from Connor Timmins. He's very good. He's very talented. Coyotes fans are going to like him, but just let's temper it a little bit. Let's not say, hey, this is the future. He's the guy yet. Let's let him play. Let's let him get comfortable here. Let's let him play some games, get some minutes. He just needs a bigger sample set. The future's there for him. He is very highly touted and rated. I'm excited to see him play more and get an opportunity to play more. Let's but I just want to make sure we all wait and just let him develop.
Such a tough position to play in this league. It's such a tough position. There's so many responsibilities. It takes a little longer for defensemen. I agree with you completely. Let him develop. Don't judge him solely on this season. Let him develop.
Yeah, and he's going to get an opportunity to play those important minutes here, and he's going to get some power play time, and he's going to play a lot here. But we've talked about where this team is in the standings and on the ice. There's going to be some tough nights for the defenseman here. So let's cut him some slack early, and let's see what the kid can do. His career's. This isn't going to be the top end of his career this season. It's going to develop from here. But again, great guy to sign. Excited to have him here, and he's going to play in the top 4 right away.
All right. Let's move on to Anton Strahlmann. Here's a name that I already know I'm going to butcher. He was acquired alongside Vladislav. Do you know how to say this name? Kolyachonok?
Kolyachonok?
There. That sounded great. We'll go with that. We'll go with that.
We'll go with that.
And
until somebody corrects me.
Yeah, and a 2024 second-round pick from the Florida Panthers for a 2023 seventh-round pick, Anton Strahlmann.
Yeah, another guy that I think has something left in the tank. I think, Petey, I think you were saying this. I got to give you credit for this. Off the air, things have changed in Florida a little bit. It's a faster team. They want to play faster, and he maybe doesn't fit into that mix, but I still think he has mileage left. Again, right-handed guy. I expect him to be Jacob Chychrun's pair on the top pair. And I think he can, with his veteran experience, that he can do a lot of things to help protect Jacob and allow him those up-ice forays, those rushes.
Yeah, everything we said earlier in the show about Andrew Ladd, we can say about Strahlmann. Strahlmann's played in back-to-back finals, Stanley Cup finals with 2 different teams, experienced player, smart hockey player. Florida's in a situation where they're looking to win right now.
Yeah.
He played almost every night in Florida. He was in their third pairing. He was a 5-6 there, but he was still playing 18 to 20 minutes a night. He was an integral part of what they were doing. They just needed to, again, we talked about their financial situation. They needed to remove his contract so they could build a little differently to win right now. He's not as quick as he used to be. But for what the Coyotes are looking for, what did they need for Jacob Chychrun? He needs to learn. He needs to prepare the right way. He needs to know how to handle different situations. Anton Strahlmann's done all that. So I think he's the perfect pair. And again, we'll speculate on where he fits into the roster. Right now, I put him out there with Jacob Chychrun. He's going to eat 18 to 22 minutes a night here, which is going to be a heavy load for him. But I think he's going to bring the experience that Jacob Chychrun really needs. And he's also smart enough to know, hey, Chick, this is your show. Like, take the puck, do what you do. I'll be here. I'll be here to help bail you out. I'll help direct traffic when we're in our own zone. I think this is another great addition, and from all accounts and people I've talked to around the league, another great human being. And Bill's checked that box in almost every player he brought here. He's a good person. People on the team like him. He's going to be a good fit. I really like him joining this team.
Yeah, this is a really important position if he gets paired with Chychrun too. We talked a little bit on the last show about Alex Goligoski going out the door, and he was a great mentor for Jacob Chychrun. He'll be the first one to tell you that. A stabilizing, calm veteran presence that really helped Jacob develop. So when they made the decision not to bring Alex back, and clearly for $5 million a year, that wasn't going to happen here, you needed to find that piece because you can't find a player on the roster right now who's more important to the future than Jacob Chychrun. So you have to make sure that you give him the right partner because his development is so critical. And let's get this straight. There's a lot of development left in Jacob Chychrun's game, particularly away from the puck on the defensive side of the puck. There's a lot more development, so he needs the right person with him. And while we're on the topic, I'll go ahead and say it again. Again, I don't think now is the time to name Jacob Chychrun the captain. I think you need to let him develop as a player before you worry about things like that. Those are secondary right now. You can operate without a captain for a while.
And I think those are the things you're going to find out as camp gets going when you talk to the coach a little bit more. I agree with you. I don't think they're going to rush out and name a captain right now, but you'll get his thoughts and find out where he's at. I think Strahlmann is going to be a guy that can put his arm around Jacob Chychrun in practice and say, hey, let's do it this way. Let's try this. Or go ahead and try something, and I'll be here. I got the net front. Go use your speed and your strength and your skill. I got net front. I think there'll be those kind of conversations. This may all be moot come the first game and they're not paired together. I don't know. I just, on
Right.
paper, those are those things that coaches get into before they start practicing and before camp starts. They go, on paper, these two guys are together. And by the third practice, they may say, you know what, this doesn't work. I've seen it happen over and over again where, for sure, these two guys are going to play together. And it just doesn't quite
Oh,
click.
and Hammer. Remember the talk
Yeah.
about them playing together, and then it just
You
didn't
see it in
happen?
D pairs, you see it in line pairs. It just
Yep.
it doesn't always work out because it
Yeah.
looks good on paper.
All right, and yeah, Strahlmann is also a UFA after this season. His cap hit is $5.5 million.
But as things go forward, he's still a guy that you may look at re-signing, and
Sure.
especially in that role, if he fits into that Chikrin development role, he's a guy that they could re-sign. Maybe it's not that same $5 million deal, but if all goes well and they see that he is helping that development, maybe you can look at another 1-2 year deal here at a lower dollar value. I think this is going to be a year that he has to prove himself that he can fit that role. So I think that this isn't a guy, even though he's up at the end of the year, is a guy that you got to sign somebody. You got to have somebody play. So I think going forward, if he fills the role, I can see him being here longer than this year.
All right, and we just have one last arrival via trade. Another name that I said the other day that Craig refused to correct me, even though he said I said it wrong.
Petey got the perfect pronunciation earlier.
Jo-
Go ahead. The goalie.
the goalie.
A Kojanesh?
Yeah, Koshinesh.
Yeah.
That's how you say
That's
that?
how you say it.
Yeah, Kojanesh.
I don't like correcting people, but yeah, Koshinesh.
Okay.
There aren't enough letters in that name, by the way.
I agree to make it sound
To
like
make
that.
it sound
That is
completely
not
agree with that.
what you would
Like,
ever think looking at
No,
that name.
no.
Wow. Okay, well, I'll just keep my mouth shut on that one. He was traded here for Aiden Hill and a 7th round pick in 2022. He's a RFA after this season. His cap hit $750,000.
He's an athletic goaltender that when everything is going his way, he can steal a game. And I don't know, he's got a small sample set in the National Hockey League right now. I think he's still developing. He's still finding his form. Corey Schwab will get his hands on him and start developing him into the goaltender that he's going to be in the future. For right now, as of today, September 15th, he's the backup of this team, and he'll get some NHL action. He's quick. We said he's athletic. He competes. He needs some time to develop as well, though.
Yeah, I'm not even sure that he is going to be that number 2 guy. I really think they'll still make a move at goaltender, provided that opportunity comes along to get someone else to pair with Carter Hutton. But we'll see how it plays
And
out.
I think that was the intent probably originally,
Yeah.
but unless that waiver wire is there, the free agents are still the free agents that were there 2 weeks ago. They're
Yep.
still there. Like Devin Dubnik's name keeps coming up as a guy
And their
that,
price keeps dropping.
yeah. So
Yeah.
so maybe that goaltending shuffle happens. I think time will tell. And if he ends up in the American League, then you're looking at a tandem down there that's phenomenal. That's one of the top tandems in the American League then, with Ivan Prosvitov.
Yeah.
So you could potentially be the goalie of the future here when they're ready to start winning. So it'll be interesting to see what they do at the goaltender spot, and we'll review all of this stuff as opening night gets closer.
Did we talk about Provolnev, by the way, in terms of free agent signings? Another
We
guy?
didn't because we had him as a prospect.
Yeah.
But we can
Yeah.
talk about
Yeah.
him again.
I'm curious because he's older, obviously. He's
Yeah.
26, so he's not really a prospect, although this is his
Yeah.
first year. He
We
just
did
came
talk.
over
We
from the
talked
K.
about him last week when we
Yeah.
talked about prospects.
Short-term
I'm
memory
just
loss.
curious about where he's going to fit to. I really think of all the prospects that we saw, I think he has a chance to make this roster too, and could be an interesting third pair, right? If he pairs with Bush.
With Bush.
Yeah.
But you saw
Couple
in the
of thumpers.
black-white scrimmage the physical element we talked
That
about
hit on MacArthur. Oof.
came
We
to
heard it.
bear. So I still think he makes this club right now.
Yeah.
But again, that's a month away
Yeah.
from opening night. Like there's a lot of things that could happen on either on the waiver wire or pick up somebody. You just don't know. And you predict a roster a month out. There's so many things that can happen in training camp. There's players that I've seen. We'll go way back. Daniel Winick is a guy that started off on Team C in training camp. Goes on to make the team and ends up having a really good NHL career from a guy that was barely penciled in at the American League level. So
Yeah.
you
Low
just
draft
don't
pick
know.
too, yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah.
So it's really early days. I see him making the team. I see him as a 6-7.
Well, us trying to figure out what the team's going to be, that's more risky than I think if we just did some DraftKings bets.
There you go. See the segues? Look at that. That's a great
I
one.
really
And go,
try
Julia.
hard.
That's
I really
okay.
try hard.
I had a feeling I knew where you were going.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, yeah, DraftKings Sportsbook,
Subtle.
America's top-rated sportsbook app. They make it so easy, and you can, we've been talking about what is going to be these player potentials. You can actually look at player futures on DraftKings, so that's something we should probably take a look at as we approach the season too, just out of pure curiosity. But yeah, the DraftKings Sportsbook app, super easy to use. Promo code PHNX, you receive $200 in free bets. Like I mentioned, it comes in 8 increments of 25, so you can just throw those all around. I have to use the rest of mine soon, so if you have any advice for me, anyone, please, I'll take it. Yes, if you use promo code PHNX to sign up, you can do that no-brainer bet that we talked about earlier. I mean, can't really go wrong with that. 21 and over, Arizona only, gambling problem, 1-800-NEXT-STEP, new customers only for free bet promotion, minimum $5 deposit, $1 wager required, eligibility restrictions apply, maximum $50 wager for the no-brainer offer, 1 per customer. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. We have to wrap up soon-ish, so we're going to get to the signings, and I'm going to put a limit on both of you. We've already talked about Carter Hutton as a signing, so we'll push him aside for now, and we will just do the 3 other signings. I'll run through them, and then you each can have a minute.
Where's your quiet please signing?
A minute to talk about whatever you want. A minute each to talk about whatever you want of these 3. So I'm just going to run through them. These were off-season signings. We have Dimitri Jackson.
Well, I'm going with Jaskin.
No, you can't talk yet. I'm not done.
Okay, go ahead.
Unless you're correcting my pronunciation, then you can do it.
I'm not going to correct your pronunciation.
Well, that's what I get for cutting you off. He signed 1 year, $3.2 million. Then we have Ryan Dzingel, 1 year, $1.1 million. And lastly, Travis Boyd, 1 year, $750,000. A big theme of all of these trades and signings is these are a lot of 1-year deals.
Mm-hmm. With Yashkin, he came over from the KHL, led the KHL in goals. Now, I don't think that's going to translate completely on this level, but as Bill Armstrong put it, the style of play that he goes to the net, he goes to those areas where NHL goals are scored. So we'll see. He had him in St. Louis. He helped draft him. So he knows the player intimately, and that is a big reason why they wanted to bring him over.
They're going to need to score goals. If they want to compete in any of these games, they need goals. He's a guy who scored at a professional level, albeit a different league. He's a talented guy that can find the net, played in the NHL before. It's a big coming out year for him, too, to see if he can really translate that offensive output from the KHL to the NHL.
Look at that. We stayed in your time.
Dzingel.
Right. Yeah.
And
Chicago guy, right? Isn't he a Mission guy?
But he's another guy, experienced NHL player. He's a little younger than some of the guys we've talked about. So I think there's still there's something left in Ryan Dzingel.
Chance to revive it. Yeah.
And he can score and he can find the net, and he's an offensive guy too. He'll definitely have a big role in what they have here. I see him in the top 6 maybe. We'll get into line projections as we go, but he's going to play.
When I look at these 2 guys, I think, okay, if these guys can translate, if they can find their NHL game again, these are guys that you could again flip at the trade deadline and get something, get yet another asset. And
very true.
And they're very motivated
because they have enough legs left.
Yes, exactly.
You're right.
And Travis Boyd, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's his birthday today. I saw that.
I did not check that, but
I think I saw that on the Coyotes
birthday, Travis,
Instagram.
if it is.
Research department.
He's a depth guy. He's a depth guy.
Another guy with games in the NHL.
Yep.
He's an NHL experienced player, and you always are looking for those kind of guys to fill out a roster like the Coyotes are filling out right now. Where he fits and how many games and how many minutes, it's TBD.
He can play center, but we'll see how it shakes out.
I think we have to wait and see what the middle ice looks like come October right now. I don't think it'll look like it does today.
I agree.
Fact checking myself, his birthday was yesterday. But I was on to something.
Happy belated, Travis.
I was on to something, with that. All right. Any last words on the signings?
I thought we were supposed to be quiet.
I was trying to give you an opportunity. I'm
perfect.
really proud of you.
We did it.
Yeah. I do need to get my quiet please.
It's good to be back, and I do like Studio B. I think if we can find a way to make this Coyotes hockey home, I really like Studio B.
I like Studio B.
Like
I don't love this, but it's okay. I don't have to look at it. I don't have to look at
the basement. I feel like I'm in the basement watching hockey.
Oh my gosh. Well, if you're watching us here on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell, get notifications, not just for our show, but every other beat as well. There's some amazing content out there. Be sure to follow us on social at PHNX_Coyotes on Twitter, at PHNX_Sports on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, everything.
He's all over all of those.
Yeah, he's the
social
king of
wizard
Twitter.
right now.
King of Twitter.
Okay. Cool your jets.
Yeah, I mean,
Not quite there yet.
so yeah, be sure to be checking all of that out because there's amazing content everywhere. And just a little plug, at 2:00, so in 10 minutes, the Sun's show is going, and they are interviewing Cam Johnson. So
Nice.
Kind of
That's
cool.
great.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot
I
of
will tune
amazing stuff happening here at PHNX that we're really excited
We should
about.
just walk down the hall and watch that. It's fantastic.
Yeah,
could.
we definitely could.
Nobody else can.
No,
Yeah.
Sorry.
but they can watch it live.
And if you become a member too, you can be part of our members only Discord, which Craig was in there chatting the other night. Craig and Petey are in there. Well, Petey's
I do go in the Discord.
You were MIA in your 2 days of being MIA.
I know, but I was also providing some tech support in the Discord too.
Yeah.
So
we have a lot of fun in there.
so don't be
We're
surprised.
not
And
going to talk about that anymore.
Just
but it's
like
true.
our shirt is thriving on sales, like our Discord is by far the most happening Discord. So
it's active.
yeah, it's
That's
very
good.
active. So if you
Let's
want to be
talk hockey.
part of that, we the three of us.
Wow.
Did you switch producers mid-show? Bring a little more energy. That'll go, Ellie.
I
Get us
love
to the
it.
end here.
Denver and the party bus.
I love
Welcome
it.
back, Ellie.
Oh man.
So what are we talking about tomorrow?
So
tomorrow
yeah,
on
so
the podcast.
so last thing I was gonna say, be sure you're subscribed to our show wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple, Spotify, wherever that is. Tomorrow we will be talking about, on the theme of new faces, the coaching staff. There's some new faces there as well.
Inside the coaching room.
Yeah, so we'll be going over all of that tomorrow, and then Friday we'll be back live again, and we will be previewing the rookie
tournament.
face-off tournament,
Yep.
and not just the Coyotes, but there's some prospects on other teams too that we're excited about. We'll talk
Fantastic.
about, and that's the rest of the week.
Good times.
What do you say? We did it.
We
Yeah.
did. Are we at the end here?
Yeah, we're at the
That's
end.
it.
Us off?
Yeah.
Let's
Join
see, we're
us.
not supposed to talk anymore.
Join us tomorrow
Wow.
or podcast
Guys.
tomorrow, live again Friday. Thanks so much for tuning in. Have a great day, everyone.